Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name's Grayson, and in this video, I'm going to be a nerd about everything smart home. So if you are a smart home nerd like me, or if you're setting up a home for the first time, or you're unhappy with what you have, I'm going to go through and give you a rundown of all the major platforms and the best products to create a smart home in 2024. Okay, let's get right into it. So if you are a smart home newbie, there's a couple things you need to know first. Most smart home devices need to connect to the internet, and they do so by connecting to smart home hubs. So you've probably heard of these. It's Google Home, Amazon Alexa, Apple Siri, and Samsung Smart Things. So with these four services, what they do is connect all of the devices in your smart home to your phone. Unfortunately, most smart home devices need to be controlled by a phone or with voice through one of these devices. So you can use your phone or you can use a smart speaker. Now, that's not to say these devices won't work without Wi-Fi, but the majority of the benefit and the features and controlling them outside of the home will require an internet connection. All of these companies have partnered together in the last couple of years to create one unified protocol called Matter. Matter really matters in smart home because what it will do is connect all different smart home devices from all different manufacturers together. That's the future dream. Right now, Matter is just not there yet. Probably this year and next year, Matter will really come online in a meaningful way where most new smart home devices will support it. So now that we got it out of the way, I will just give you a little update about me. I moved into my home a little over a year ago, and when I did that, I decided to start completely clean in my smart home. So before I was using a mix of Google devices and Apple devices, and it worked, but I wanted something in my new home that would work really well, and that way I had one consistent standard. So I chose Apple Smart Home. The reason why I did that is because Apple is a more privacy-focused company than the other competitors, and I have an iPhone and a Mac, and it all works really well within my system. Now, that's not to say you can't choose other systems that will work well with your Apple devices, but for me, privacy and consistency were my two focuses. The reason why I say this is because Google and Amazon, the core of their business is selling products or selling ads to you. Now, that's not to say they are doing that through their smart home platform directly, but I have a few questions about companies that make the majority of their money selling ads, putting devices in your home that listen and can potentially watch you, period. Period. I'm not voice typing this. Why did I do that? Now, you can do your own research. There's plenty of privacy discussions about all of these platforms. And at the end of the day, you're connecting things in your home to the internet, so nothing is like perfectly private. So with that out of the way, let me just get into the product recommendations in case you're new to this or you want to just know my thoughts. So the first category is actually hubs and controllers. I mentioned all of the main smart home platforms and they all make their own controllers. So for Amazon, that's Fire TV devices, Fire tablet devices, Alexa speakers. For Google, that's Google Mini, Google Hubs, Google speakers. For Apple, that is the HomePod and the HomePod Mini. For Samsung, they have a smart home hub that's also a phone charger, and I'm pretty sure their TVs can also be used as their hubs. And actually a random one for IKEA. IKEA makes a bunch of smart home products and they make their own hub. These are the devices that will connect all of your different pieces and talk to all of them. So instead of your phone reaching out to every single bulb and smart home device at once when you set a scene, what your phone will do is send a command to the hub and the hub will do it on the phone's behalf. This is important because it makes things a lot more stable most of the time. And when there's one point of contact at home, you can leave your home and still control your devices, which is really great for smart home automation and security and things like that. So in my home, my Apple TV is actually my smart home hub. It's constantly plugged in and connected to the internet, and it's the default one that my Apple Smart Home chose in the app. So it's worked really well for me and I've never really had a problem with it unless my internet goes down. Now I would say choosing a hub, the only thing that really matters is how you want to interact with it. For me, having an Apple TV that's just plugged into the wall, it doesn't have a microphone, so I don't talk to it. The other device I have in my home is actually a HomePod Mini, so I can say different things. I can give it different commands. And that's been really useful for me because I use it for very limited things. And I don't need to ask it like questions that, about different facts and playing games and stuff like that. I really need to know about the weather and I give it smart home commands and I set timers. That's about it. So if you're interested in, I would say, the most economical route, I would probably go the Amazon route. All of their devices usually are on sale and the price point already starts out lower. Now, a lot of Amazon devices will actually show you ads. So I know their smart displays and their TVs and their Fire Sticks will show you ads. So it's kind of the downside of buying in at a cheaper level because then you end up paying for it with your eyeballs. Google is similar. Their devices are relatively cheap. They don't show you ads in the same way that Amazon does. But my one caution about Google as a whole, I used to love their smart home products, especially when they used to be Nest in the beginning of Google Home. Google as a company has a track record of discarding products and projects really quickly. And I've noticed they've done the same thing with Nest and Google Home. A lot of features of Google Home have been sunset over time because they don't get enough usage deemed by Google. A lot of the Nest products haven't been updated. They had a security system that was amazing that they just killed. So in general, I'll get into more product specifics, but Google's kind of a mixed bag because when it works really well, but you don't ever know how long the product's going to be supported or how long your favorite features are going to be around. So let's get into the products that I think are honestly the most important. I honestly think that ambiance in your home is everything. It's what makes a home feel like a home. It's what makes it feel cozy and safe and inviting. And the two ways that you create ambiance, the easiest, fastest, the most noticeable change is lighting and audio. Being able to play nice music in the morning, relaxing music at night, music for a party, music for a dinner party, huge. And being able to have a nice, soft lighting at night or bright lighting during the day or colorful lighting when you're feeling like it or for a holiday makes a world of difference. So talking about lighting, let's get into my product recommendations. Honestly, my first one is Philips Hue. It is expensive, but it is really reliable and worth it. The Hue app is amazing. Philips obviously has been making light bulbs for a long time, and they were one of the first contenders in the space, and I think they've done a really good job. I would suggest trying to find one of their starter packs online. They're usually on sale. That's a great way to start, and what you need in that starter pack is the hub. The hub is a little white box that you plug into your router, and that's what connects all of your lights to smart home services and the internet. Philips Hue is also a great option if you don't want one of the main four smart hubs. Their app is great. It works anywhere when you have their hub. There's no microphone attached. So I would say as far as privacy goes, it's definitely one of the higher ranking ones. Another lighting product that I would suggest is actually LIFX bulbs. It's LIFX. They are a relatively new contender in the lighting space, and for a while, their products were hit or miss. In the last year, I've noticed they've gone through a slight rebrand. They've redone the app, and a lot of their products are new. And actually, my boyfriend has their bulbs, and they're amazing. They're more colorful than Hue, and some of them are actually brighter. And what's really nice about LIFX is that they work with any smart home platform. So if you want to give these as a gift or you want to just get a supplemental bulb, then it's a great option. They are plug and play, they have really cool effects, and LifeX actually has a bunch of specialty bulbs that other companies don't have. So they have one that has night vision built in to help cameras. They have one with UV built in that can disinfect your kitchen if you run it long enough, close enough. And they're just a growing company. I really like their commitment to quality. It seems like they've turned a new leaf. Another contender that you might see is GE Sync, and you can probably find these in Target and Walmart. They are much cheaper bulbs, and most of them connect directly through Bluetooth. Some connect through Wi-Fi, but you have to be careful there. I would say GE Sync is good on the budget end, but GE has kind of got questionable history with reliability and supporting the products over time. GE used to work with HomeKit, which is how you use Apple Smart Home, and last year, seemingly for no reason, they just dropped support. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag there. I think that if you're trying to stay really budget conscious, it's a great way to go. But when you try to expand the system or get a little bit more complicated or advanced, it starts to become more difficult, if that makes sense. Another product that I actually use is Lutron Smart Dimmers. They're the Diva Smart Dimmers. I love the name Diva. They are amazing. They are so expensive, but damn, they're worth it. Lutron has made dimmers and smart home systems for a long time, specifically for lighting, and their dimmers are the most consistent things I have ever used. They also include their own hub to connect to the internet, which is a theme you will start to notice with these products. But I have never had a single problem with the dimmer. I can dim a bunch of different lights that wouldn't be smart light or smart bulb compatible, or use them for security or motion sensors and things like that. And Lutron is definitely on the luxury end, but I have been really impressed with it. They're dimmers that I'll probably keep in my house forever. Obviously, they're wired to the wall, and I feel like knowing Lutron's track record, they'll be really reliable. Also on the budget end, I forgot to mention is IKEA bulbs. IKEA actually makes a lot of smart home products, and some of them are really good. I would say their bulbs aren't the brightest and aren't the most colorful. I know that they update them and they have a lot of different options. So if you're looking for just like shades of white or just off and on and being able to dim, I would say that IKEA is a pretty good bet. For lights that aren't smart bulb compatible, or it's an exposed bulb, or it's a vintage lamp or something like that, I would suggest smart plugs. Smart plugs are great. You can find them really cheap. They work with all the different smart home platforms. Later in the video, I'm going to give a couple of suggestions of which ones I think are worth it. Okay, my second of the two most important categories is audio. Audio, I am a music lover. I'm listening to music all the time. I love having talk radio on. I love playing a podcast. I love playing music when people come over, when we're just hanging out, when I'm making dinner, when I'm cleaning. It's huge. It's one of those things that you don't think about until you have a great speaker in your house that you can talk to or easily play stuff off of. And it really makes a big difference. I've given smart speakers to friends before, and they're not tech people, and they actually really end up loving it. It's something that just seamlessly fits into your life and is usually easy to kind of conceal in your existing decor. There's a ton of smart speakers, but I'm just gonna give it to you straight. Sonos is where it's at. Now, if you're an audiophile, don't at me. And if you're like a smart home nerd, don't at me. Because Sonos speakers are great, they are expensive, and some people don't like Sonos. They're similar to Apple in the sense that they're a little bit of a walled garden, but their products are really worth it. I was gifted a Sonos speaker years ago, and ever since then, I've just bought more. My soundbars, Sonos, my house is really small, but I basically have a speaker in every room. So for parties or just for me, being able to play the same song throughout the entire house is amazing. It feels so luxurious and fun, and you can do that with a lot of different systems. I think if you value simplicity and the most flexible option, Sonos is where it's at. Once you get one, I think you will see you want others. And if you're looking for things that are a little bit lower cost, Sonos has licensed their technology to IKEA. So IKEA actually has a couple of speakers that are cheaper that sound great. Their bookshelf speakers are amazing. They used to be $100 and now I think they're like $130, which thanks inflation, but they're still a great buy, and especially IKEA's options blend in a little bit better to your surroundings. For all of the other smart speakers, I mean, Google, their hubs are nice, they're really laggy, and the audio is fine. They have Nest Audio, which is their standalone speaker. It sounds good and it's cheaper than a Sonos speaker, but it also sounds cheaper. It's a pretty flat sound. I will say Amazon Alexa has some really good speakers. Their Echo smart speaker is great. Their Echo Studio actually sounds amazing and is capable of spatial audio. So if you're going to go all in on the Alexa route and you're okay with Amazon listening to you, then most of their smart home speakers are actually pretty good. On the Apple side, you have the HomePod and the HomePod Mini. The HomePod Mini sounds great for the size that it is. It doesn't have much low end, which I don't think that you would expect that. The HomePod actually sounds amazing, but once again, that's very much a walled garden, and the HomePod, compared to, I think, a Sonos, is more expensive and more closed in, and I would honestly rather just spend the money on a Sonos. There's also contenders from Bose, and Bose is really a mixed bag. They have some sound bars, and then they have some home smart speakers, and they're all great. Don't get me wrong, they sound great. They're usually on the higher price point. And if I was gonna buy into an ecosystem, I'm definitely gonna wanna buy into Sonos. They have more products, their price point is wider, and they've been around in this space for longer. So I would prefer that over Bose. Another random audio contender is actually Roku. Roku makes some soundbars and some speakers, which we'll get into in the TV portion, but for the most part, they don't really make standalone speakers, so I wouldn't necessarily buy a Roku device just for music. That leads me into TV stuff. There are Amazon Fire Sticks, there's the Google Chromecast, there are all of the Roku players, there's Apple TV, and there's smart TVs. So I use an Apple TV. I paid the premium for it. It is the device that will give you the most consistent audio and video quality. Apps are usually optimized for Apple TV, and they provide a really high quality level of content in the way that from some other manufacturers, it's a little bit of a hit or miss what they support. Google TVs are great. I just wish they were more powerful. The interface is really laggy, but it's great. I mean, Google search is awesome. Being able to search with your voice, or if you use YouTube Premium or YouTube TV, it's great having that integration in one dongle, and they're a lot cheaper. Amazon Fire devices are actually great. They have a ton of different features. They support all of the main services. They are cheaper for the most part, but once again, with Amazon, you pay for that because of ads that are embedded on the interface. And these are different than ads that you would find on a Fire tablet or a Kindle. You cannot pay to remove them, which for me, I don't love. If I'm going to pay for a device and if it's going to be my main interface of my TV, I don't really want to get served ads and have my content habits be sold. The last one is smart TVs. Now, smart TVs, honestly, I wish didn't exist for the most part. I think on the cheaper end, they're great because it's an all-in-one, but on the higher end, it's a little confusing. Smart TV operating systems are usually kind of clunky and laggy. The reason why that companies sell these devices is because they can sell the content viewing patterns that you are watching. So it's just a data collector. I would suggest not using them for the most part. If you really want an all-in-one solution, you'll be able to find one. But personally, I wish I could just buy a TV that didn't have any software and then plug the device in that I prefer. Thermostats. This one I'll keep pretty simple. I did a ton of research on thermostats because it was one of the very first smart home products that went mainstream with the Nest thermostat. The Nest company was bought by Google. Now there's the Nest thermostat and the Nest Learning thermostat. The Learning thermostat is the OG that the Nest company made. It's great, the design is gorgeous, the interface is easy to use, it will change your temperature based off of preferences throughout the day. It is all around a great product. It's a little expensive, but I think it's worth it. The Nest thermostat was created under Google's ownership. And I have to be honest, it's cheaper. I would honestly say avoid this thermostat. If you're all in on Google Home, then it might be the one for you, but it doesn't do the learning features that the more expensive Learning thermostat does, which is honestly kind of confusing. It's a pretty dumb thermostat when you look at it. You have to set different schedules and modes of when you're away and when you're at home and what temperature you want at which season. And it's a much more manual process for what smart homes should be and what smart thermostats should be. It should be a lot easier than that. Amazon makes a smart thermostat that's actually great. It's really minimal. It does all of the learning features. Once again, you have to buy into Amazon's entire ecosystem. It only works with Alexa enabled devices and the Alexa app on your phone, but I think it's around $70 or $80, which is a great price point. So really depends on what you prefer here. I use Ecobee. I did a ton of research. Ecobee is an independent company. It works with all of the different smart home services, which I really appreciated. And for the year plus that I've had it, the thermostat has been great. It has one useless feature of you can make it a speaker if you want. The speaker is horrible, so I don't know why you would want to do that, but overall, I would say Ecobee products are actually really high quality. Okay, smart locks. I've used a bunch of them. My family's used a couple of different ones, and I'm just going to keep it clear. The Level lock is the best lock by far, by far, by far. Whenever I see reviews of people not liking it, I honestly don't understand why. I have used the August lock before, their smart Wi-Fi lock. My family has used, my parents have the Nest X Yale lock from back in the day. I've also used a Slage, kind of a smart lock. It's a keypad lock. And Level by far and away beats all of them. It works with every smart home service. It works with your phone, with Bluetooth, with a keypad, with a normal key, with an NFC card. It's definitely on the more expensive end, but it is the most seamless. It fits into your door. There is no bulky hub on the outside or on the inside. It is quiet. I have never had a problem with it not working. You change the battery probably every 4 to 6 months, and it's just fantastic. It sits near my Apple TV, so that way I can use it whenever I'm away. It can connect to the internet, with Apple TV. And I've just absolutely loved it. I'm so into that company. I hope they survive in the long term, and I hope they come up with other products. The August locks are good, but they do the same thing that the Level lock does, and in a less elegant way. The lock is larger. The one that I had never consistently connected to the internet, and also at times would say that it was unlocked when it was locked. It would miscalibrate itself. The Yale locks are good. They're expensive and they're also bulky. The Slage locks, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily trust a smart home lock from a traditional lock maker. They're not exactly versed in technology. So if you're looking for a more traditional keypad on the door approach, then I would go that way. Obviously, other smart home companies like Ring probably makes a few and others like that, but for the most part, Levelock has just been amazing. Okay, let's get into cameras and security. There is a lot in this. I'll start with Hue. They make lights and now they make smart home security hardware. I really didn't see this pivot coming for them. They make cameras, they make contact sensors and motion sensors. I don't use any of these. I'm not really looking for smart home products for security from my lighting company, but I think if you're new to it, it might be a good option. I don't know many reviews about them, so I would go in being a little wary because as I have learned, smart security cameras are really hard to get right. Okay, on the more budget end, of course, from Amazon, you have Ring and Blink. Both of these companies, these are two different companies, but they're both owned by Amazon, so I honestly don't know why they both exist. But Ring is absolutely the largest contender in this space. One thing to note, there has been a lot of privacy concerns with Ring. Customers have gotten access to other customers' accounts. They used to send video clips just at any moment to police officers. Employees were caught sharing videos at work with each other from Ring cameras. So I just completely steered clear of it. A lot of their products, I think the industrial design is not very pretty, especially for things that are in or attached to your home. They have some sneaky subscription fees, so I would be wary about just investing in that system as a whole. Same thing with Blink. I was almost really tempted to buy Blink products because they are so cheap. Their security is similar because it's all owned by Amazon at the end of the day. If you have Alexa devices, they'll work really well with that. Obviously, the price point is lower, which is a benefit, but there is a subscription that is attached that's basically mandatory. Wise is another budget contender that honestly is pretty good. Wise is a completely separate company. It only works with Google Home and Alexa, which is kind of a disappointment, but all of their cameras are really cheap. Their subscriptions are relatively cheap. The products are pretty good quality. They have a ton of different versions of cameras that do some quite advanced features from other companies for a much lower price. Ecobee also has smart security. I used to use it when I first moved in here. I don't really use smart security in the same way anymore. They have contact sensors and door sensors that connect to the thermostat, which I think is a really smart idea because the thermostat is now your hub and it's always in the wall, which makes a lot of sense. They also make an indoor camera, and the indoor camera is great. I actually have it right up there. It always works. It connects to Apple Home, which I really appreciate. I've never had problems with it. The video quality is great. It doesn't cut out. The only thing that's disappointing about Ecobee is they have never made an outdoor camera. They have recently made a video doorbell, but I don't really get the point of video doorbells. I would rather have a camera on my front porch or on the side of my house. So unfortunately, Ecobee is not quite an all-in-one solution if you need outdoor cameras. And the last one is Eufy. They are a great company. You're going to pay money in every sense for these products. The products a lot of times are on sale. Their cameras are great. They're wireless. They connect to all the smart home services. To do that, they need a hub. The hub is an extra cost. And the reason why I didn't go with them is because their monthly fees were actually pretty expensive. All I want is to be able to see maybe the last couple of days of history if I'm out of town. So I actually use HomeKit Secure Video because I already pay for iCloud Plus and it's just included. I didn't want to pay for another subscription. The downside of using Apple HomeKit and Apple Home for security is there's very few devices that work with it. So HomeKit Secure Video is not the best system, but it is technically included in my subscription, which is why I use it. If you're looking for a more comprehensive plan, I would look at the route of like a Eufy, maybe a Ring if you're in the Alexa universe, or Ecobee if you're looking for something a little bit more minimal but still powerful. Okay, so this takes me to my last category. It's just the extras of smart home that I use. I use the Wemo Mini Smart Plugs and the Kasa, K-A-S-A smart plugs. You can usually find packs of 2 or 3 really cheap online on sale, and they work with all the different smart home services. Sometimes they're a little tricky to connect to your Wi-Fi because you have to connect it to the 2.4 gigahertz band, which is the lower band than probably what your computer uses. But once you get them connected to the internet, they've been really consistent. They're small, they just plug into a normal outlet, and I can make non-smart home devices smart home. So my air purifier, or if you had a coffee machine in the morning, or all of my little lamps and extras or string lights around the holidays, I love them. They're a great addition to a smart home, or they're a great way to start out because they just do one thing really, really well. I also have a front yard and a backyard, and so I actually have the Rachio Smart Sprinkler System. It's the controller for my sprinkler system, and it was great. I got it on sale, I think for about $120. I connected it pretty easily. The app is pretty straightforward, and then it just waters my yard when my yard needs it. So you can add more to the system, but I just have it use my location. It knows where my house is at, and it watches weather patterns. So when we have a moment of dry period, it will water my lawn, and when it's going to rain, it will skip that watering day. The last device that I kind of wanted to mention is actually the Amazon Smart Hub. Now, I know I said everything I said about Amazon, and it still is a little bit of a mixed bag if I would trust them with my smart home data. but they actually just came out with a smart hub product that looks like a tablet, but it specifically attaches to the wall and stays there. And it has a very simple interface where you can control your entire smart home, every room, all devices and scenes. And I'm actually really curious to try it. If you guys want a review on that, let me know and I'll look at how I can integrate it into my system. My house is really small and having one panel near the front door would actually be really helpful, especially when I have guests over. I'm just curious to explore that one, but it's really the only like dedicated hub that I have seen that isn't on the professional commercial level. So that wraps up my video. I hope this was helpful. These are the products that I love using. There are a ton out there, and if you're using different ones, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have a different opinion about the products that I mentioned or if I missed something. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I will see you guys in my next video. Good luck with your smart homes.